RoseN'Hook Publishing presents, The Rave. By Corey Rose. Kevin Viola stood amidst the pulsating colored lights and thumping bass of the old fallout shelter turned party haven. The air was thick with the smell of sweat, alcohol, and a myriad of other substances. The place was alive, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds that engulfed everyone in its illegal embrace. The chosen location, once a bustling town center, now stood as a relic of abandonment and government neglect. The original settlement had been dismantled and relocated years prior, leaving behind only the vast expanse of the shelter. The supposed imminent threat of a failing dam, mere miles away, had prompted the hurried evacuation of the remaining residents. Yet, the dam held fast, leaving the once hallowed grounds open to vagrants seeking refuge and adventurous teens looking for a thrill. The 17-year-old high school burnout found himself in the midst of the vibrant lights and thumping beats of a rave in an old fallout shelter, a relic from the 50s designed to shelter an entire town. It was a scene of hedonistic indulgence, a place where inhibitions melted away under the influence of various substances. He, like others, had decided to paint their faces, the deep blue paint covering his dark, tan features. As the night deepened, the atmosphere within the shelter escalated into a whirlwind of excitement. Lights streaked across the floors and ceilings, resembling alien ships descending from the cosmos, ready to land. A fog machine added a mystical haze, enhancing the party's allure. The kaleidoscope of colors pulsed in harmony with the thumping music, crafting an otherworldly ambience that captivated everyone present. Kevin, completely immersed in the bliss of the moment and carried away by the contagious energy of the gathering, mingled effortlessly with both familiar faces and strangers alike. The DJ spun sick beats, each rhythm designed to compel bodies into a frenzy of dancing, releasing every ounce of pent-up stress. In this illicit rave, inhibitions were but a distant memory. The air crackled with an electric energy as people lost themselves in the pulsating music, shedding their worries with every wild move. Boundaries blurred and rules were mere suggestions. Individuals ventured into the labyrinthine safety rooms of the fallout shelter. It was in this exploration that a daring soul stumbled upon a hidden lab, concealed within the shelter's depths. Tubes adorned with the cryptic label XM38 immediately seized their attention. Ignorant of its true nature, they dared themselves to taste it, thinking it was some kind of futuristic concoction. The atmosphere inside the shelter grew charged with anticipation as the contents of the vial of red and brown liquid were consumed. Curiosity spread like wildfire among the partygoers as the liquid was passed around. Kevin, always one to dive headfirst into new experiences, found himself holding a vial of XM38, mistaking it for a quirky drink designed to fit the Fallout science theme of the party. Without hesitation, Kevin downed the contents of the vial. Instantly, he felt a surge of energy unlike anything he had experienced before. His senses heightened, and the world around him seemed to slow down. He watched in awe as the lights moved languidly through the air, reaching out and feeling as if he could grasp them. As Kevin gazed up, his eyes widened in disbelief. He could almost touch the beams of illumination as they arced overhead. Time seemed to stretch and bend around him, allowing him to pluck a beam from the air as if it were tangible. As the drug-induced euphoria gripped him, Kevin's thoughts melded into a chaotic chorus, blurring the lines between his inner musings and spoken words. "This little light of mine." He chuckled to himself, the laughter bubbling up and spilling out into the air. Before he could register the distinction, he exclaimed, "I'm going to make it mine." The boundary between his inner and outer monologue dissolved in the haze of the drug's effects, leaving his thoughts and words intertwined in a surreal dance of consciousness. Around him, the party took on a bizarre quality. People moved in slow motion, their actions stretched and elegant. Laughter echoed through the shelter as each person experienced the euphoria of XM38. The drug's effects intensified, and Kevin found himself in a surreal state of bliss, where time seemed to stretch and dance along with the music. Every movement was amplified, each sensation magnified. It was as if he had stepped into a dreamlike trance, swaying with the rhythm of the altered reality around him, through the entirety of the evening. As dawn broke, government agents stormed the fallout shelter, their presence announced by the roar of tanks and the thud of helicopter blades. The colonel, a seasoned veteran of such operations, surveyed the scene with a critical eye. His gaze settled on Kevin, the lone survivor of the unlawful rave. Kevin, clad only in his underpants, sat in a corner, his laughter now tinged with fear and confusion, his body trembling from the shock of the night's events. "Sir, we found a subject," a soldier reported, pointing to Kevin who lay on the floor, still smiling as he marveled at the remnants of the laser show in his mind. The colonel observed Kevin closely, noting the pallor of his skin and the intensity in his eyes through speckled paint. Without hesitation, he ordered his men to take Kevin for observation, and to destroy everything else within the shelter. As Kevin was gently loaded into the waiting ambulance, a private leaned in close, his voice hushed with curiosity and concern. "What happened in there?" he asked, his eyes searching Kevin's face for any clues. "What is this place?" the private added shakily as bodies of young adults and teens were piled in the middle of the different rooms of the shelter and sprayed with the clear liquid. The officer stood beside the inquisitive man, studying the young soldier's shaken demeanor. "It's an old fallout shelter," the colonel interjected. "Left over from the Cold War era. The drug they took, XM38, it was meant as a last resort if the city fell into enemy hands. A form of quick, painless suicide." The colonel's expression darkened as he realized the gravity of the situation. "We thought we had cleared all these sites," he muttered, his mind racing with implications. Turning his attention back to Kevin, the colonel spoke softly, trying to coax information from the shaken young man. "What did you see? What did you experience?" Kevin's laughter subsided into shaky sobs as he recounted the evening, the slow-motion lights, and the distorted music that had enveloped him. With trembling hands and a voice laden with disbelief, he described the overwhelming sense of exultation tinged with terror. I felt like I could touch the light. Like I was part of it," Kevin stammered, his words tumbling out in a rush. As he spoke, flecks of blue paint flaked off his face, revealing the pale, shivering persona beneath. The colonel nodded, piecing together the fragments of information. "You're the only survivor," he murmured, more to himself than to Kevin. "We need to get you to a medical facility for observation." As Kevin was gently led away by medical personnel, the fallout shelter was set ablaze, engulfing the remnants of the night's affairs in cleansing flames. The private exchanged a meaningful glance with the colonel, who stood nearby overseeing the operation. "What will happen to him?" the private inquired, his curiosity getting the better of him as he continued to speak out of turn. The colonel's expression tightened slightly as he replied, "That's classified. He'll be taken for observation and debriefing. The details of tonight's events stay within these walls." With a subtle nod, the private eased back as the ambulance door sealed shut, enveloping Kevin in its white interior. Kevin Viola was humming a tune, a familiar melody, as the vehicle rolled away from the fallout shelter. As the ambulance gained distance, the colonel's steely gaze remained fixed on the vehicle, tracing the New Mexico license plate as it disappeared into the distance. His mind was already turning to the reports and protocols that would follow, burying the truth of XM38 and its effects deep within the realm of classified information.